Hello, I'm Emma. In this video, I'd like to talk about probate and how it can affect your family's inheritance. Probate is a court process that many families may go through to receive their inheritance. Very simply, when someone dies and if they own assets in their name at the time of death, a judge needs to make an order about who the new owner will be. That's it, that's the goal. But, like most everything in our country's court system, something that seems so simple can become a whole drawn-out process. Most people that have gone through probate feel the two most significant disadvantages are the cost and time to get through it. Sometimes a will is sufficient to pass on an inheritance, but in many instances, it is not. If at the time of death, a person owns less than the minimum amount of assets required for probate, then a will is generally sufficient to pass an inheritance since there is no probate. But, if a person's estate value is over the minimum, a will usually does not prevent the assets from going through probate. The will is actually filed with the probate court and the judge will attempt to follow the wishes of the person who wrote the will. Now, let's go over some examples of costs for probate. Since beneficiaries are commonly not lawyers or familiar with court procedures and probate law, many of them decide they need the help of an attorney. Between the attorney and court costs, expenses may average 4 to 5% of the typical estate. This may not seem like much, but let's put that into an example of a person's estate valued at $500,000, their home, furnishings, vehicles, savings, etc. 4 to 5% of $500,000 is $20,000 to $25,000 in expenses. This amount of expense doesn't usually sit well with most people. They would rather have all of their money go to people they care about, the beneficiaries of their choosing. On top of costing 4 to 5% of your inheritance, on average, the probate process may take 6 months, and sometimes 1 year or more. About 75% of the people going through probate fall into this range of 6 months to 1 year. What can cause it to go longer? Court delays for one. Also, it's not uncommon for beneficiaries to fight over the money and it ends up taking time for the judge to decide who gets what. It only takes one person, one family member, or in-law who thinks their spouse deserves more, to start the fight and send the family into turmoil. Additionally, assets in probate cannot be accessed or utilized by the beneficiaries during probate. This is one of those often overlooked, but potentially devastating effects of probate. Not everyone has to go through the probate process. It generally depends on the value of the estate at the time of death. It varies by the state in which the person lived, but there is usually a minimum amount. In many states, estates valued as low as $22,000 and up to only $166,250, both real and personal property, generally have to be probated. Therefore, avoiding probate is not just an issue for the wealthy. In fact, just owning a home can often exceed the minimum and require the estate to file for probate. If you think your inheritance will be processed by probate, a living trust is a great way to avoid this costly and lengthy process. This is where the National Association of Family Services can help. Trusted by over 42,000 members, the National Association of Family Services only charges $799 to obtain a living trust. How are they so affordable? Well, similar to how a dental plan can reduce costs and save you money. The legal services available through the association cost a fraction of the price of going to a regular law firm. It's that simple. Through the National Association of Family Services, for just $799 you can obtain a new living trust or update an existing one. This includes notary services, one deed transfer, and an actual attorney to help you. Ready to get started and protect your family by avoiding probate? Click below to complete our application.